Hello, I'm back. So, we're going to talk about my favorite director today, David Lynch. And no, we're not going to do an insightful video essay like I did back in 2017 that raked over 500 views at least. Anyway, that was a video essay I did. You can check that out if you want to. But I wanted to kind of do a video that demonstrated my cultist passion to the man. I'm kidding.
What year is this?
Shut up, Cooper. So I have, because he's my favorite director, I wanted to kind of be like, hey, I want to kind of talk about him and, show off the kind of stuff I have to do with David Lynch stuff. So, I guess, firstly, yeah, I'm wearing a Twin Peaks t-shirt. I have two. I have one that's called the Good, the Bad, and the Dougie. Hopefully I'll put an image here of what it looks like. Yeah. It's a good, I like the black to white juxtaposition. It was nice. Anyway, we're going to start with the shelf, because it's the easiest part to go to. And then we've got the stuff over there. So we've got three categories: Blu-rays, books, and figurines. So we'll start with the movies, because it's probably the most interesting aspect. I guess we'll go in chronological order of release. So let's start with the obvious. If you've seen my Blu-ray collection or my Criterion collection or my 4K remastered or 4K mastered video, which I did a few years back, you know what this is. It's, of course, the Criterion for Eraserhead. This is a godsend of a film. I absolutely adore it. It is my favorite film of his. It is also a digibook, so it comes with, obviously, the images and stuff, and ever so lovingly, a big-ass, thick-ass book. I don't really need to look for the book anymore, given that I actually have the novel that it came from. And if I'm not wrong, which I don't think I can find here, I never kept the sticker that said director approved, which is a big thing with Criterion. If you get a, if a director comes in to help with, remastering a particular film of theirs, it will get a director approved seal of approval. This is one of my first ever Criterions before I knew that was a thing. I don't know why I didn't keep it. Maybe it didn't come with it. Maybe it just came with a special edition sticker. I don't know. Either way, it's not here. That's my disappointment. But I've since rectified that. Rectified? I think that's the right name. Anyway, beautiful 4K. Love it. Totally would recommend it. Next up, after, of course, the classic Eraserhead, my favorite of his films, comes one of his most easily accessible, Elephant Man. Hopefully, if at some stage during the editing of this video, maybe right now, I'll be showcasing the 4K remaster that I did buy. I've been waiting for it to come in the mail, so hopefully it's come in the mail and it'll be put in post. It definitely will be, of course. This is just the regular Blu-ray. I haven't actually watched this version, because I only watched this film once. I think I've watched it twice now. I watched it once as a kid. I watched this, so I believe this was my first actual David Lynch film, or at least I knew the idea of it. So I don't know if it was my first David Lynch film or not. That's disputable. However, my mum watched this in theaters. She cried and stuff like that. All that kind of fun stuff. I watched it at the Astor when they had the David Lynch Fest, and that's the first time I properly saw it. And then I saw it again for a third time, arguably, if not a second time, during the David Lynch Club. So yeah. I'm really keen to see the 4K restoration. Though this probably still looks great, I'm really keen to see the 4K, so, Then we jump into the only film... Oh, that's what I'm missing. I was wondering why I hadn't done this video yet. Then maybe the only film that you could arguably skip. Dune. I bought this because I saw it at the Astor. I've seen Eraserhead also at the Astor. And I saw Eraserhead... Oh my god, how many times have I seen Eraserhead? I know I watched it for the video essay I did. I know I watched it at the Astor. I know I've watched the Criterion 4K at least once. I know we've watched it in my David Lynch Club at uni. That was last year. So, yeah, I've watched it a few times now. Dune, on the other hand, I've watched once and probably won't watch again for a while. It's not a bad film. It's enjoyable. It's long-ish, 2017 minutes. Yeah, it's long. It's not the director's cut version, which is like 3 hours, but that includes like a whole bunch of like still images and stuff that's practically just exposition. So I don't have that version. I don't have the mega Japanese set of this, unfortunately. I don't know. I don't mind it as a film. As a David Lynch film, it's still got some David Lynch aspects, but obviously it's not much of a David Lynch. So yeah, obviously this is probably the first, actually his only arguably worst film. Even he doesn't like to talk about it. But because of course he'd done Eraserhead and Elephant Man by this stage, he was able to continue his film career, because it's like, just because he had one bad film doesn't mean it's the end of him. Thank you, Mel Brooks. Next up, we have a double hitter. This is actually quite a beautiful Blu-ray for Blue Velvet. But of course, I don't want to talk about this version anymore. I want to talk about this version. Wow. This just came in the mail today. Oh, gorgeous. Got this for like $45, which seems pretty expensive. It is a 4K remaster Criterion Digibook Region A, like all of his films, unfortunately, in terms of Criterion. Beautiful case. I love the design. And of course, you've got the interior, which is the 710, and I love this. Love how they went with that shot. Open up, you got yourself a booklet which goes through stuff from the book of his that I haven't read yet, which is Room to Dream. It's a nice booklet. It just goes through that whilst having, like, you know, production and, well, not exactly production, just stills from the film. Really creepy ones too. For example, this is a great double widespread. Like, damn, that's beautiful. But of course, you have the interior, which is where I now have my director approved sticker. Yay! Because I decided to keep it. Of course. I mean, this was the first of two Criterions that I've actually decided to, like, because of course I didn't keep the goddamn one for Eraserhead. My, of course, disgrace there. At the same time, I don't exactly mind. A sticker's a sticker, but, you know, when I realized that Wes Anderson had them, and then I looked it up and found out that, yeah, no, Eraserhead originally did come with them, I must have just torn off the plastic and thrown it out, you know? I don't know what I was thinking. Next up we have, I guess we'll just go with movie slate. I can't really go with that next, can I? We have Wild at Heart. This was a film he did in 1990, yeah, 1990. Decent year, I guess. This is the Shout Select remaster. It's not particularly, it's not as perfect as I definitely would say a Criterion would be. It's still just a standard transfer. It's got some deleted scenes. It's got a bunch of special features, in fact. I'm actually just happy enough to have it. The slipcase is nice. I wish that there was a different image here, like the theatrical poster or something, because it's like, what else is the point of a slipcase outside of the arguable collector's aspect to it? There's, of course, your Shout Select little sheet, and then, actually, no, it does have a reversible cover. Wow, I am an invalid. This is also Region A, which is fine. I mean, I don't exactly plan for, you know, my parents to watch it, for example. It does have the reversible cover. I don't know why I haven't changed it. That's a good cover. Either way, this is quite a film. I mean, I'm a pretty big. I'm not a big Nicolas Cage fan. I have done a video, an actor review, 2 for Nicolas Cage, so you can check those out. Because of course I did review Wild at Heart. It's not my most favourable of David Lynch's films, but it's definitely. I mean, they're all of these films are so, like, vastly different, and the 90s was such a big period for him, which we're now into right now, and of course. I had Wild at Heart come out first because this technically spanned a lot longer of a period of time. Twin Peaks. This is, of course, the entire mystery and the missing pieces. Region B. Love the cover, of course. I think it's... Yeah, it did come in broken. Yeah, it had a little breakage there. Stop focusing on my face, camera. I can see what you're doing. So yeah, this is Twin Peaks: The Complete Television Series. Fire Walk with Me, the prequel film. I like that, notes that. And the missing pieces, nearly 90 minutes of alternate/deleted scenes. All in HD. Yeah, it's just a bunch of discs. It's nice. I like it. It was the first Twin Peaks thing I bought. I think I cannot remember whether or not I had Stan and decided to watch Twin Peaks on that, or if I bought the Blu-ray first. I think I watched it on Stan first, because I remember with Twin Peaks, I used to watch Achievement Hunter and Rooster Teeth back in high school. I remember them talking about it before The Return came out. Actually, this was well before The Return came out, I'm certain of it, because this was while I was in high school. I remember maybe it was Michael or Gavin, one of the two of them were talking to Jeff about it in one of the videos, and Jeff recommended the show because he'd watched the whole entire thing when it came out, but he said to skip like a lot of the second season, and so the idiot I am did that. I was very confused when I got to the last 2 episodes because I skipped like 10 episodes and was like, what the hell is happening? What's the beauty pageant? What is this, with this owl stuff? I don't know what's happening. And instead of watching those episodes, I then proceeded to watch The Missing Pieces. Yeah, that's how dumb I was. I watched The Missing Pieces, and then I watched the prequel, of course, Fire Walk With Me. I was so confused. I'm thinking, wait, there's no conciseness to this Missing Pieces at all. And then when I watched the Fire Walk With Me, I'm like, oh, I get it. I guess it kind of helped to some degree. But then, of course, I rewatched the whole entire show when I got the Blu-ray. And, of course, I have seen all of Season 2. I now understand the show. But to add to it, another Blu-ray that came in today is this. I wanted to get it given that I have 2 versions of Fire Walk With Me, but I wanted to have a separate version. I got this for $45. Unfortunately, it's got a little wear and tear. Is it going to show it? Focus. It's got a little wear and tear on the bottom there, which is in the top corner there. But I don't really mind. Like, it's a beautiful case. It's a 4K remaster. I cannot wait to rewatch this film. It's arguable. I mean, look. I don't know what the hell my favorite... I mean, I'd still say Eraserhead's my favorite of David Lynch's films. But Fire Walk With Me is probably my second favorite of his films. I love this design and everything about it. I love the interior they have here. They also have the missing pieces with this. The booklet is exceptional. And, of course, I did keep the sticker. I had to put it on the right page. What page did I put it on? Yes, I put it on that page there. Yeah. Ultimately... yeah, it's hard to say as to what really is, because you gotta look at, like, rewatchability and stuff like that, and of course I think they're all rewatchable, but, like, Eraserhead, if you've watched it, you know it's quite an interesting experience to watch, so that's why I think maybe Fire Walk With Me is my favourite. There are elements to it that I think I dislike, but not really, it's just that it's so Twin Peaks, it doesn't really matter. I just kind of wish that they had a director-approved extended edition. Like, I know that they released all of the, deleted scenes and extended scenes, but why can't they make a version that integrates them? I have seen a version of, my friend Guy has a version of it because someone made it. Someone actually edited it together with all the extended scenes. And then someone actually used that and put it on a Blu-ray disc and sold it on eBay. I went looking for that version because someone on Reddit had it, and instead I found those 2 for a really good price. And Mulholland Drive on Criterion, but I didn't get that. And I'll get to that in a second. Because next up we have Lost Highway. I've only seen this film once. It's probably my... I guess Dune's technically my least favorite of his films. I just haven't gone around to watching this a second time. It took me a while to get into watching it. I was kind of scared to watch it because I was like, this could be my final David Lynch film. Rip. But of course, that didn't end up happening. It wasn't my favorite, my final David Lynch film. Technically, the one on Netflix is the one about Jack. What did Jack do or something? I don't know. It's about a monkey. I think it's a good film. Interesting aspects and stuff to it. It's nice. Then we have The Straight Story, which will either be included as an alternative, hey, look at this is what the video is, or I will just be showing video footage of the film on Blu-ray because I bought it from Germany, and I've been waiting for it to come in for a month now, but of course coronavirus doesn't exactly help that, so when it comes in I will shoot the video stuff for it. So here it is, and this is what it looks like. Hopefully it's nice and slim and all that kind of stuff. I don't know if it's on Disney Plus yet. I don't really care. I've watched this film once. I watched it. Where did I watch? Where did I watch it? I watched it at the Astor. Because I remember a guy saying it's the only one of his films that you cannot get on Blu-ray. Which of course Germany says that you can. So hooray for Germany! I got it for $20, so I don't really mind that. Yeah. So hopefully it comes in. If not, bugger. But ultimately, yeah. It's a nice film. It's definitely his least David Lynch film, but I understand why he made it, and I think it's still quite a nice film. Then, of course, you get to Mulholland Drive. This is why I haven't bought the Criterion yet, because the only reason I began the Criterion would be to get a Region A version if I really wanted one. Ultimately, it'd just be for the packaging. This is the Classics Remastered, which, as it says on the top there, outside of the fact that you can see its own reflection, brand new restoration approved by David Lynch. This is the restoration done by Criterion on a Studio Canal disc, yeah. So, it's the 4K remaster anyway. I think I've seen this version. I don't know, because I think I've maybe seen this film 1 or 2 times. I've seen it. We watched it in class last year, which was really fun. But because I watched it in class, I had to tell my David Lynch group, I'm like, you can watch Mulholland Drive if you want to, but we just watched it, this past Tuesday, and they're like, oh, okay, well, because he's watched it, we'll watch something else instead. So yeah, that was nice. But yeah, it's nice. I think I've seen this Blu-ray. I'm very sure I have, because it just jumps right into it. There's no open, menus and stuff. He doesn't like to have that on a lot of his films, where, he has the kind of control, kind of like Kubrick when you watch, not the Criterions, but if you watch The Shining, there are some of his films, just like David Lynch, they always wanted you to have the experience. Of course, I don't think Kubrick really had the option for DVDs because they hadn't come out yet before he passed away, but they had VHSs, so I guess it was just, well, at least you don't have an opening menu title screen. But yeah, so that's a thing. It just jumps right into the film, which I like. I don't mind it having video aspects before it, though, like if you can choose, as much as some directors have that kind of point of view of you should just jump into a film. It's like, even when you watch it in theaters, you can't. You've got to wait for the trailers, you've got to wait for the movie, the lights to shut off, and all that kind of stuff. Why can't I just simply put it on and have the, play feature button there, and just be like, I want to go into this other thing to make sure I've got the right audio, the right subtitles, all this kind of stuff, maybe I want to watch the supplementary stuff first, maybe I want to watch have the audio commentary if there is one on top of it. I mean, I doubt it for a David Lynch film, but at the same time, you know how it goes. Next up, we have his final film, technically. It depends if you want to include The Return as a film. But we have Inland Empire. At least his final, to this date, theatrically released film. It is crazy. I've seen it twice, I think. I mean, technically, because I watched it and got it's 3 hours long. Yeah, it's 3 hours long exactly. I got 2 hours into it, and I stopped it because I went to hang out with a friend, because it's just that kind of timing. And so, of course, when I went back to play it, there's no menus or anything. So, I mean, you can still get extras, but you gotta have a pop-up screen for it. So I figured, well, I guess I'll just rewatch the whole entire film so I could understand it more upon second viewing, even though I was only rewatching the first 2 hours just to get to the final hour. And I did. It actually kind of helped, because I was like, good, I now understand everything that just happened, and now we get to the ending, and it's just like, what the oh, it's crazy. It's crazy bananas, and I haven't watched it since, and I don't regret that I haven't watched it since, but I can whenever I want to. Next up, just because it came out in 2016, David Lynch, The Art Life. I, of course, include it in my David Lynch collection, even though it's actually directed by 3 different people. This is really fun, but if you've read his interview book, Lynch on Lynch, this is kind of unnecessary. This is more or less just him talking to, his kid in the future, just to be like, oh hey, this was what my life was like. It's beautifully designed though in terms of the disc and the extra interior packaging because it's got all of his art stuff. But again, all of this stuff is in Lynch and Lynch. It might be in Room to Dream as well. Yeah, it's got all this artwork. It's beautiful. But at the same time, it is still just a nice, like, 90 minutes with David Lynch, where he just sits down. Like, even the documentary crew kind of just seems like they don't want to, not that they don't want to be there, but, like, it's like the only way to convince David Lynch to talk about himself is to not be there and to tell him to pretend that he's talking to like his kid like 10 years from now kind of deal. So it's just the video footage of him is just either you luckily get to see him painting or crafting his artwork, or it's just you zooming, the camera zooms from outside into a window and you just see him there sitting next to a microphone just talking into it. It's hilarious to watch to that aspect, but also it is very insightful to his life. So of course, there is that aspect. Then we have Twin Peaks: The Return. This is actually the British version, not the Australian version. The Australian version is much thicker and slides open, whereas this, which I think I prefer because it is slimmer, this is actually Velcro. This I got for, look at that, whoa, that's all 3 characters, beautiful, and of course the exceptional backing to it. Oh, this one took me forever to get because I ordered it for Christmas. It was meant to be my Christmas gift from my parents. Then you get all this inside, yeah, and the site that I bought it from, it never came in. And so this was like 2 months later, and so even my parents were angry by this stage. So we got a full refund, and I ordered it from a completely different website. It still hadn't even come out in Australia by that time. So yeah, I got the British version, and I don't mind. It's beautiful anyway. But then, of course, you get to... Sorry, Cooper and Laura, I'm gonna have to move you for a second. I'll get back to you guys later. I've done a video separate on this, so I won't go... Wow, I forgot about that backing. Oh, the backing actually comes up. Oh, I guess it does. I won't go into too much detail of this. I do have a separate video which will be in the description or linked at the very end of the video. I think hopefully my videos at the end will be my David Lynch video essay and my unboxing of this. This is the Twin Peaks from Z to A box set. It is incredible, as you can see by this image here. You open it up and there's a whole bunch of stuff, including a pop-up of Laura and Cooper. See, there's one side, whoop, 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 and there's the other. And then you have her telling him something. It's good stuff. It's also magnetic. Very magnetic. Because we're done with the shelf now, I might as well just introduce my pop vinyls. But I'll do those. Actually, I'll do my pop vinyls now. Yeah, I might as well. So yeah, that is presently my complete collection on Blu-ray, physical media for David Lynch. Eventually I will get the Mulholland Drive Criterion. Of course, right now, in present stage me, I am waiting for the 4K of Elephant Man to come in, plus the Blu-ray of The Straight Story. I decided, in case you're wondering with Elephant Man, I didn't go with the big box set thing for it, because with the whole pop-up, because it didn't interest me. I just kind of wanted the film on 4K. I didn't like the look of the steel case either. It just was a bit too generic for me. So I liked choosing the regular version that I got instead. So call me a non-hardcore David Lynch fan if you want to, but like, oof, calm down. I still haven't even got like, and this is a big maybe, will I ever purchase like a Razorhead 2000 image here? Like, it's a big ass set. But again, it's still on DVD. Or, that just reminded me. Or, of course, would I get the Big Dune one? Where is it? Oh, where is it? Hi. I went to Japan in 2019, back before when you could travel. And I went to a DVD shop with my cousin. And outside of buying a film from Hong Kong, but I definitely bought this. So this is the DVD of Eraserhead, given that's my, favourite one of his films. I love this aspect to it. It's such a nice design. I just saw it there. I'm like, oh my god. It's on DVD, which is perfectly fine for me. I'm not going to watch it, because I have the 4K Criterion. This is amazing. I wanted to show my David Lynch club, but we never got around to doing a second semester of it. It's all digitally remastered, which is like the first DVD release they ever had for it. It is so beautiful. Let me show you better without the, yeah. So as you can see, that's all, of course, in Japanese. And it is region 2, so I can actually, of course I can still watch it. I have a region 3 player, FRE player. And you open it up. Love the disc. There's so much about this I just adore. You have no idea how much I love it. So, oh my god. Is there multiple thingies in it? Oh my god, there is. I forgot about that. I haven't opened this since I got back from Japan. So this is just a booklet that they have. I think this is meant to be like an ad for a David Lynch thingy. It's like a little magazine, yeah. But it's more or less just like, oh, it's also an ad. So they have this David Lynch World DVD box set as well. I've never gone around to looking for it because at the same time, it's arguably pointless. This is just a big ass ad. It's arguably pointless if I don't get anything that's actually in English, So this one, I don't know if this one has the English. Of course it does have that. Of course it has the English version of the film. I believe it's only in English. 174 minutes. The film's not that long, is it? No, it isn't. Must have a bunch of special features and stuff. Guess it doesn't really matter. Yeah, I don't know how much this cost. It was very cheap. It was less than $10. I think it was like 399 yen, which is like $4. But of course, you got to translate that again. I think it was literally just, $3 or $4 this cost me. I was so happy when I found it too. I was just like, oh my god. I remember going up to the counter and be like, can I buy this? And they were like, yeah. So it comes with postcards. This being one of them, which I would totally frame and put on my wall, but I kind of just want to keep it in its little plasticky thingy, because on the back, of course, you got a face, and it says Eraserhead. And then, the other one, which has the same backing, but of course it's in landscape, it's storyboards! It's all these exteriors in storyboard format, just doodled, and it's like, oh, it's so beautiful. I'm like, this is incredible. Look, this could be in, the regular Australian version, but I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if it was, to be honest. But I love this so much. I forget that I even have it, which could be arguably a bad thing, but it's kept in my DVD collection. It's not kept in my David Lynch, Blu-ray collection, because there's no need to put it there, I don't really want to bury it behind the stuff to be like, oh, because eventually, every time I reorganize the shelf, I'll have to remove it and stuff. It just becomes a chore. But yes, so out of all those things I bought from Japan, this is one of the collector items in my possession now, because, and again, it was very cheap because it's just a DVD. But even the fact that it was a slipcase too, I remember opening it when we got back to Adam's place, and I was just so happy when I was looking for it. I'm like, I'm not even going to watch this, but I'm just so happy that I have it. So yeah, that part goes out to Kaz, because I've always wanted to show her, and of course I haven't been able to. She's my tutor from lecturer / well, she wasn't actually a lecturer, just a tutor from uni, who of course got me big time into David Lynch, and is eternally grateful for it. I remember when we were watching The Return, because we had winter break between it, and so for the first 2 weeks she was still my tutor, and then after that, of course, I had all these weeks away, and then when we came back, I had a few classes, and I was just waiting for the day where I was able to see her, and I think we only had a few episodes left, and so we just had this big, hour-long conversation, and we'd, stop in the hallway and talk for a bit about it. It was great. So now we're going to the Twin Peaks pop vinyls. If you're a pop vinyl fan, I apologize. I do not collect boxes until this year. So all this stuff, all these Twin Peaks ones are from a few years ago. This is a 2-set piece I have, of course. This is the Black Lodge version of Cooper. I love that he has his coffee there. Beautiful. Nice design, nice paint job and everything. Simple pop, but nice and reflective, and the shoes too are quite reflective. And then, of course, Laura, which is the big seller for me. We will be a reason why I wanted it, because it's in her most iconic pose, the meanwhile pose, which is from my favorite episode of the show. It's nicely designed, pretty simple too. It doesn't really, in terms of feet, balance quite well. I don't really think that's going to focus as perfectly, but at the same time, heels and pop vinyls don't go well together. Then we have the Log Lady, which I'll get a closer look at now. She of course does have a stand, but I don't presently have it with me because it's still where she usually is positioned. Because I've had to blue tack some of these guys down, so this is obviously her look. I like it with the glasses. It's nice. The Log 2, it has some excellent texture to it. I have also got the. There was a... Oh, okay. So there was a Kickstarter that I kickstarted that's still in production called I Know Catherine the Log Lady, which is a documentary about Catherine. So yeah, I've got all this bonus goodies. It also came with a documentary that David Lynch made called You Don't Know Jack, because it's about Jack. The guy, obviously, from the cover of Eraserhead. I keep thinking Jack Torrance, so I'm not going to... I don't remember his name. But yeah, so there are, of course, things I can't get in physical. At least I don't know about the Catherine one. That one might, but it won't come out till next year, so it's still a while away. I haven't watched the You Can't Watch You Don't Know Jack one yet. I have the link to the Vimeo version of it. Eventually I'll get around to watching it, but I kind of keep forgetting. But that's alright. I'm happy to be able to have the opportunity to watch it. So let's continue with our pop finals. Here, of course, we have Mr. Dale Cooper, whoa, in his iconic jacket and pose. Not bad. I like the difference of the tie and the coffee. Very nice. I've had to put blue tack on his feet to make sure he can stand, because he's actually got a... Doesn't really show, but he's got, his foot's a little lumped there. Outside of that, it's not bad. It's a very good paint job. Very much love it. This is the most recent one I've bought of him. I think I got this one for free, actually. It was a buy two, get one free. I don't have all of the pop vinyls. I'm missing Audrey and the Giant? Yeah. But I want to get this one. I was just looking for a good paint job, because his hairline can be a bitch, pretty much. And I really like it, actually. I think it's kind of spoilery, but outside of that, I love the gloves. I love the shiny shoes as well. It's a nice looking Leland Palmer. Then, of course, we have probably my second favorite pop vinyl for Twin Peaks, which is Bob. His hair in particular has a nice texture to it. I like the chiseled cheeks as well. His hands are incredible. His jacket, again, blue tack on his feet so he can stand properly, because he does fall over. He's a bit imbalanced, but that's alright. But I love the design of him. It perfectly captures Bob. Lucky last, we have, of course, wrapped in plastic, Miss Laura Palmer. This was one of the first ever pop vinyls I bought. I saw this at Supernova a few years back, and I decided, yep, I have to get that. It's a beautiful pop vinyl. The wrapped in plastic aspect is beautiful. The sand on her face, the cold, dead blue lips, the hair and everything. The plastic is incredible. She does come with a stand, but let's put it this way. She'd stand up like this, and it would kind of crowd around her like that. So it kind of be like that, with a spine going down. But lo and behold, it broke. Because the base of it where the spine attached to the platform just snapped off. I think I still have it in a drawer somewhere to be glued back together someday, but I don't really care, because you only see her in this position on the ground, so I'm not going to have her hanging up like a bloody trophy. I leave her on the ground. Actually, I've got a pose for it, so hopefully I might film that later, but for the most part, she lays down with everyone looking at her. Just because that just seems more appropriate for the way that she's found in the show. So yeah, I don't know if I'll ever get Audrey. She's tricky because she's very iconic in terms of pose and costume, but her hands are very tricky, so you can't really get a great design for it. And the giants, maybe someday. But they're going to be ones I'm going to eventually take out of their boxes anyway, so to put them with the rest of them. So it's kind of hard if I really want to. If they're cheap, maybe. I don't really care. But eventually, maybe. Given how we're still in the line of Twin Peaks, we'll get into the first half of my book collection, which is the Twin Peaks-focused book collection. We'll start with The Secret Diary of Laura Palmer, written by David Lynch's daughter, Jennifer Lynch. This is really fucking dark, but really, really interesting, especially as it pertains to the character of Laura Palmer. There is some, because it was written between season 1 and season 2, so there are some aspects that don't, continuity things that don't work as well, but it's not overly noticeable. This is the reprinted version, I believe, because the original version was red. Outside of it, honestly, I would wholeheartedly suggest this book if you are a Twin Peaks fanatic, like myself, or just a David Lynch fan. It's not written by him, of course, it's written by his daughter, but trust me, she has the same kind of dark mindset. She completely understood what the show was going for, and you can see how this relates to Fire Walk with Me. So yeah, this covers her whole life, by the way, so it does more than what Fire Walk with Me does, but Fire Walk with Me so perfectly captures one period of her life, the very end of her life, and it's beautiful. Then, of course, we have the Twin Peaks books. We've got The Secret History of Twin Peaks, which I have read the whole entire book, of course. It kind of gets a little messy when it gets into this whole aliens stuff, and they're like, wow, there's so much that's kind of BS'd by Mark Frost as an explanation. Why are these characters kooky? Well, these 3 characters here were actually abducted by aliens. And then we have the final Dossier. Final Dossier is really the only one worth reading, I guess. I mean, unless you really want to go die hard into the lore. The Secret History, the final Dossier, actually, concludes some character storylines, explains what happens to certain characters. If you want the explanation, it's there. Say, for example, for Audrey. And it does tell you what happened to some other characters, like Leo Johnson. But yeah, overall, interesting in terms of lore and stuff, and finalizations and conclusions, and continuing the story of Twin Peaks. If you want something that's more connected to Mark Frost and less connected to David Lynch. So if you want the explanations, here they are. They're still kind of kooky, but they're not as surrealistic and dreamlike as David Lynch. However, if you want surreal and dreamlike stuff, Catching the Big Fish. This is the reprinted version, the 10th anniversary, because it has interviews by Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr. Of course, it does also say 10th anniversary edition. This is quite interesting because it's all these thingies that are just kind of small little anecdotes, just written in words. Almost sometimes he'll name them after, his films. But yeah, it's interesting because it goes into meditation, consciousness, and creativity. It goes into his whole entire thing of transcendental meditation. So yeah, ultimately it's it's a quick read. Again, it even says creativity, film, memoir, book. So it has stuff about his film work, it has stuff about his actual life, it has stuff about his meditation, and how he gets into creativity and all this kind of stuff. So it's very insightful in that kind of avenue. Almost last but not least, we have the Autobiographies, which is, of course, Lynch on Lynch, which this is the revised edition that includes Mulholland Drive. This was done by, Chris Rodley. This is great. This also comes with pretty much every single one of these films. So, actually, no. So, to my knowledge, which this I'm very sure is true, it's only just Mulholland Drive, Twin Peaks, Fire Walk with Me, and Eraserhead that actually have excerpts from this. The Eraserhead one being the biggest. So that's where that big ass, thick ass book comes from for the Eraserhead Blu-ray from Criterion, and the Fire Walk with Me one. Blue Velvet, on the other hand, has something from this, which, as you can tell, is a much thicker book. I have not yet read Room to Dream. I didn't even know it was coming out. It's written by David Lynch and Christine McKenna. I got it for $34. That's not too bad. Look, it even has his his face. Wow, it's his face. It's a lot of a read. Eventually, someday I'll get it, but I'm happy that I have it. I just saw it at the bookshop. I'm like, what? David Lynch had another book? I saw the name Room to Dream on the spine there and thought, hey, that looks like my cup of tea. And then I realized it was done by David Lynch, so I'm like, oh shit, it's definitely my cup of tea. So, yeah, that's David Lynch. As you can obviously tell, he's had influence on my life. He's the most influential director to me. So I don't really think you could see it in my short films exactly, but to some degree I try to not emulate, but kind of, I guess, emulate may be the right word. I don't know, it depends on the film that you're looking at. Overall, though, that is...
What year is this?
Yeah, okay, I get it. You keep asking that question, but that doesn't mean I can answer it. Did I mention Cooper was here? I gotta show you Cooper. I mean, of course you know Cooper, right? Yeah, see, we've met Cooper before. Yeah, Cooper? You know Cooper. Wow, okay, do we know Cooper? So now I'm standing right underneath the light. This is my pal Cooper. I still feel fucking mental for having bought him. I actually have a book that came with this. I went with my dad, conveniently. Like, luckily, he hadn't even watched Twin Peaks or much of David Lynch. I mean, he'd watched a bit of Twin Peaks when it first came out, but my dad and I went to this Twin Peaks show. It was like an in conversation with for the cast and crew, for some of the cast and crew, plus a Skyped in interview with David Lynch. And by interview, that was like 6 people got to, if they paid enough, got to ask him a question. And it was just like him on the screen, just answering it the most David Lynch way possible. And to know that I was in a room that got into a Skype call with David Lynch is just... Oh, I made Kaz so jealous. It was great. I loved it. Of course, I didn't get to record any of it because we weren't allowed to, which sucks. But they had a whole bunch of the cast there. And that was really great. And so I got the booklet that came with it. Wasn't much in terms of detail, but it was just a nice memento thing. I don't know where the hell I put it. It was so big, I think I put it in a drawer or something. So it's somewhere. Hopefully I'll have footage on screen of it. But of course, they had these guys... because they released a whole set of these, including Cooper, Mr. C, Dougie, Laura, I think the fireman. I don't know if there was anyone else that was released, but I know the manager of the Astor has all of them. One of the light guys, the guy with this got a light dude is there. I can't remember what he's called. I haven't watched The Return for like a year now, and I've already forgotten what the hell the guy's called. I even saw someone in my class last year had the ring that Laura has, the one with the green stone. They'd actually bought it. It cost like $250, and they bought it. And it was actually quite nice to look at. I don't think I'd ever get it again, but this person was wearing $250 worth of a ring on their finger, which is probably not as expensive given if it's a ring. But he was here. They had a whole bunch of him and Cooper and Laura popped up around the place. And they were, when I went to buy the thing, I think we had a break. Maybe. I can't remember when it was. Maybe it was, I think it must have been at the start. You could buy him for $50. And so I bought the book and I was like, hey, can I also pay for this? So they put me down on the list to collect it at the end of the show. The show ended and they were playing all the short films of David Lynch, but it was late. We had to go pick up my younger brother from, about a 40-minute drive away. And then we had to drive all the way back home, which was another 40 minutes, maybe an hour. So I went up to them, and after the show, or waiting for while the short films are playing, it was like, oh, can I get my Cooper now? And they, saw that my name was written down and I'd paid for it. And they were like, sure. Here you go. He wasn't even wrapped up or anything. It was, as you see him now, is how I got him. And we were like, oh shit, how are we going to put this in the car? This is a Mini Cooper. And we're like, oh my god. Well, it's not a Mini Cooper, but it's like it's a Mini, but it's not a Cooper. It's close though. It's just a bit longer. It's got two sets of doors rather than just one. And we were like, oh, how the fuck are we going to fit him in the car? And so I remember taking him out. We walked outside with him, and all these people, like all the people that were there, were just like, "Oh my god, they're taking Cooper," and I was like, kind of like amused but embarrassed, but mostly just amused about what kind of a situation just carrying a pop-up version of Cooper. And we got to the car and we're like, if we open the boot and we put him in like this, then his head will be at the front of the car and his feet will be at the back of the car, and there's just enough room for Noah to get in the back seat. So we did that, and we drove and we picked him up and came all the way back, and then I put him in here. And I remember leaving him at the theatre room door right next to me here and having the door be just a bit closed. And so the idea was that, because Mum usually comes in here, she'll pull up the blind or whatever, or to make sure some air can get through, she'll open the door. But she decided not to. So I went over, I'm like, oh, I see the theatre room door is kind of closed. And she's like, yeah, I noticed that, I just didn't get around to opening it. Or some deal like that. And so I'm like, oh, let me open it for you. So I did. She was like, what the fuck is that? And it scared people for the next couple of months. It was great, because I just kept putting him around the place. I fear sleeping in the same room with him. It's just creepy, dude. Like, to have him, like, we had Noah's 18th or whatever, people were sleeping in here. I didn't want him to be in here. I didn't want him to get damaged. $50, I know, but, like, not too expensive. But he is valuable to me. So I put him in the garage, and because I put him in my room initially, but then he was staring at me the whole time, because I have to have him lean against the wall so he doesn't fall over or break anything or whatever. And then I decided I'm gonna put him in the garage, because I didn't want to put him in the garage in case of weathering or whatever, but there wasn't any. So yeah, that was fun. It was creepy, dude. It was creepy. So yeah, this has been my David Lynch collection. I just can't fucking believe it. I gotta walk away from him. It's just putting it on video. Like, I know he's been on video now for like a while in terms of my channel. Some people still get creeped out when they come over. Like Helene, my girlfriend, just like when she comes over when we're in here watching the movie, she's like, we'll get up and she'll stand up and she'll turn around and see him, and then she's like, he's still creepy. And sometimes he is. I think you're great, Cooper. I love you. You're amazing. You are my everything. But, so is Helene. And that's my David Lynch collection. I hope you have enjoyed this video. I don't have anything as crazy in terms of collection next, because, at some stage I might get the soundtrack for Twin Peaks, as all of them, pretty much. The ones for the return, the ones for the original series. There's also the vinyl of it, but I think it's kind of expensive, so maybe. But outside of that, I think I've got everything I might ever want until they make some mega release of maybe one of these other films. But to be honest, I'm pretty content with the Criterions. I don't care to get any other version of Dune. Let's be honest, most people don't anyway. Elephant Man, the 4K's coming in the mail. Wild at Heart, I'd love a Criterion of Wild at Heart. I'm still happy with Shout Select, but I'd prefer a Criterion. And Lost Highway and Inland Empire, I definitely need Criterions of. Eventually, of course, I'll get the Criterion of Mulholland Drive, but outside of that, I'm pretty content. I would love to see another David Lynch film. Anything else by David Lynch would be amazing. I might even buy an artwork of his if that's a possibility at some day, but it's probably not going to ever happen in my bank's lifetime. But yeah, I'm content. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to like, share, and subscribe for more. Check out my David Lynch video essay I did, or my unboxing of Twin Peaks from Z to A. Outside of that, see you next time. Adios.